Yes, everyone, welcome to another transfer talk with me and our kid Abdul. It's Saturday night. I think we might make this a little regular thing. We had Cheeky Sport in last week, got you in this week. Next week, I'm going out with the missus, so that's not going to happen next week. But we might do maybe a tea time one, something along those lines.
Might have to when we sign the Lictor.
Maybe, yeah.
Bruno
If we
Fernandes,
sign someone by Saturday, maybe we'll actually go and knock it out of there. So thank you guys for joining us on Saturday and for stopping with everything that you've been doing. It's been a minute since our kid was on, isn't it?
Yeah.
You little young poster.
It's gone to crap since then, isn't it?
It really has kind of gone to crap, hasn't it? So get your questions in, everyone, and also hit me up on Twitter with hashtag Transfer Talk and let me know if you've got a good question, because the stream just sometimes goes absolutely wild, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll probably lose whatever you write in there. I guess it's just going to be one of those, isn't it? So loads and loads of talk at the moment about different players coming to United. Looks like the Wan-Bissaka one might be advancing, might be seeing some movement there. We might be seeing some movement with Bruno Fernandes, and you've got something for that.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot actually going on with Bruno Fernandes. I think the record we're reporting, and reports from Portugal emerging, that they were close to Tottenham, him and his agent speaking to him, and then they were close to United, then they reversed back on it. According to them, is that United are willing to pay the 12 million extra. But Ed Woodward's apparently hesitant on the deal. Spurs aren't willing to offer more until they know what's happening with Eriksen, which makes sense for them. Because, of course, if they bring it in, it's basically Eriksen replacement.
I tell you what, that is you don't see many like-for-like replacements in football. But I tell you what, Fernandes for Eriksen, it's about as good as you get.
Goal-scoring midfielder. Usually plays off the striker, but when he drops deep, he's got the ability to find the passes. That's a perfect replacement for them.
Give us a like if you're glad Abdul's back.
Yeah.
I actually really like him. I didn't think the Portuguese system, even though they ended up winning, I didn't think the Portuguese system did those players any good. I think Felix occupies a similar space to Fernandes, and both players look diminished because someone else was kind of in there.
I think the problem with Portugal is, I was doing a bit of research on them last week for the Nations League games, and they play with a flat 4-4-2 once Ronaldo's back. What they've done now is they're trying to play sort of the Atletico system, where they've got like Saul, they have an Atletico at Koke. They tried doing that Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes, which in hindsight you think, it could work because they come in on the inside, create a diamond. It didn't work because Bruno Fernandes, he picks the ball up in the pockets, and that's where he hurts teams. You watch him this season for Sporting, as soon as he picks that ball up, he'll find a pass on the inside, or he'll just take a shot at goal.
He's been almost a second striker.
Yeah.
He's not really been a midfielder.
But when he drops, he looks really good.
Do you know what he reminds me of a lot? Not in terms of the way he plays, just the space that he occupies. It's Cantona.
I won't know watching him, but yeah, he does give you the vibe of that class in like the sort of the final third. He has like a touch of class. Once he receives the ball and he turns, he's making something happen. Which, of course, if Spurs lose Eriksen, that's exactly what you want. And United, we've not really had that. I mean, we have that with Pogba, but he does it by himself, and he sort of needs to drop deeper, whereas Fernandes can occupy a space further up the pitch.
There's a couple of things I'm hearing, and one is that United aren't going to pay the price for Jadon Sancho, which is madness, and I think we've ummed over the price of Wan-Bissaka as well. And for me, the talk of that's going to be somewhere in the region of 130, 140 million, and that is a lot of money, right? Yeah. You'd have to do some piggy bank raiding to get that, but the right-hand side of the team is sorted out for 10 years, if you sorted them out.
Exactly.
Young, English, so any Brexit problems, because we all still don't even know. I mean, we're laughing at it, but we actually don't know what impact Brexit's going to have on football. Footy Manager have done a couple of sims, but that's just them guessing at what might happen. They don't know what's going to happen, and the sims looking at it is that there's going to be quotas. There's going to be the foreigner rule that we had in the early 90s to a certain extent. It's going to be an impact. So I think clubs Brexiting themselves is probably a smart move, to be honest.
It's and it's what they give you as well. I mean, if you look at, I spoke about this the other day on Full Time Devils with Jay, and I was saying if you play Wan-Bissaka and Jadon Sancho, that's a balance. And obviously you can easily say that because of the players they are and what we lack in the team. But if you bring in Jadon Sancho and Delort, I'm not sure. I mean, and you have Delort playing behind him, I'm not sure that's as much as a balance. If you then it all alters around the centre half. If you don't have De Ligt in there and you have Tuanzebe, then you need that assurance from Wan-Bissaka.
Even De Ligt, De Ligt's phenomenal, but there's still holes in his game. I think I think a very good physical striker, shows him up a certain extent. I actually thought, going back to that game the other night, I actually thought...
He showed us a bit of both.
Yeah, well, I also thought Marcus was well better than Kane.
He was.
I thought England was stretching them because of his movement.
I think that Marcus was brilliant in that game, and what we're seeing from Sancho in that game was phenomenal. Coming on the inside, taking players on, but finding that decisive pass, which we miss. And a lot of people think Jadon Sancho is just like an entertainer, and he just whacks a ball in the box. That's not him. The good thing about Sancho is that he's so mature for his age, and what he gives you in the creative areas that we're missing clearly. Like, you can go out and get Pepe. You can go out, and I know we were speaking about this yesterday, Mbappe. And Mbappe probably... I mean, I'm just saying, if you're any team in the world, you probably put them ahead maybe of Sancho.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Real Madrid are just doing a fucking madness.
They're going to get Mbappe, probably.
And they're probably going to roll out with Mbappe probably on the right. And I know people are like, he doesn't play on the right. Listen, I think this is what they're going to do. They're probably going to play him on the right, with Jovic up front, with Hazard on the left.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I think Mbappe's leaving.
That is every 11-year-old's wet dream playing FIFA, innit? Like, that they've just done that.
And it's a balance for them.
And it is, and it might work. And I think they're probably going to try and get Pogba as well. Now, I don't think they'll be successful.
The thing is, they've got to be clever here, because if they get Paul Pogba, that is not a good decision. Because if you have Hazard and Pogba, there's too much ball carrying going on. We've seen that with Sanchez and United, and you've got so much off the ball that you want to catch your runners off, like with Mbappe if they get him. I mean, it's crazy to say that, but they done that back in like 2006 where they had Beckham and all these guys.
They didn't. They weren't very successful for it either.
Yeah, so
that's what Perez likes to do.
Yeah, so you never know. If you really go mad with Eriksen and Pogba, well, no one's going to stop him then. You never know. But you've got to have a balance.
When they signed that Galactico team, they've gone exactly the same way they're doing now. They go Eriksen because he's mint, Pogba because he's mint, and then they end up with like... I don't know who the 2019 equivalent of Thomas Gravesen is, but you end up having to get like a Gravesen, Lee Catamol sort of character in just to actually win the ball because everyone else is tossing it off up front. And they didn't have a balance. That's what the problem with the Galacticos team is. Like, a title-winning Leicester side with a system and an identity is always going to be a collection of individuals, which is what those Galacticos teams are. And it's probably been one of the major issues of post-United Fergie.
Yeah.
Post-Fergie United. Yeah. Is that we haven't had an identity, we haven't had a system. Louis van Gaal was the closest to getting it, and it worked in the big games, but we was fucking drawing and losing to the likes of Stoke and Norwich, and people were kind of bored by his style of play. Now, there's loads of arguments that if you'd have given him a Mkhitaryan, a Pogba and a Zlatan, he might have won some shit. Yeah. There's also arguments to say that he wouldn't have got Mkhitaryan, Pogba and Zlatan. Yeah. That was Mourinho personality that got that. So I think the first thing Solskjaer's got to sort out is our identity, our style of play, and I hope that the James signing, or James is definitely going to be known, is indicative of where we're going in terms of a direction of identifying players that fit a system, rather than he's good, get him. Because I see people going, we need a right winger. I would probably agree. But what if we play a diamond? What if we play a diamond as our first choice?
That's my thing. It all goes back to my point about having either going with Wan-Bissaka or Dalot. If you're going to play a back three, I think Simon Stone, when he had him on, he spoke about that.
Dalot's good option.
And I've been saying that all season. If you play Wan-Bissaka and if you play Wan-Bissaka, you have to have a Sancho for me. You have to have someone who's explosive on the right wing, who's just going to take ownership of all the creativity on that side. Yeah. And that's where it's worth spending the money on Sancho. But if you have Dalot, who wants to get forward, and you'd rather have him offering you something forward than staying there defensively, you want him to express himself, play a diamond, find him out wide, then maybe you're forced to bring in a Delict. You have to, because you need a trusted centre-half. It all rotates around the team of knowing what system you want before you bring in the players. And I think Ollie's got to find out what he wants before we go into pre-season.
Good comment there from Jack Coleman. 4-1-4-1 with Pogba and Fernandes as 2 3/8, and then Didier or Partey as the midfielder. Do you know what? I feel that. 100%. I do feel that.
I think the best teams in Europe play like that right now. I think you look at even Leicester since Brendan Rodgers stepped in.
I like the diamond.
That is brilliant.
I like the 2 up front because after a generation of people playing a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1 or variations of that, then you pull out a 2-striker system and you're putting defenders on the back foot again, because a lot of centre-halves have played 10 years of their career only having to deal with 1 striker between them. Now you put 1 striker on each of them, they have to leave a fullback back now, and that you make... you make things happen, especially if you play. Now, the antidote to a team playing 2 up front is that you drop your defensive midfielder to sit in there as an extra man, and then you can still push your fullbacks forward, because you always want to have one man over what they're attacking with. Now, then you throw in a Fernandes into the mix, or an Eriksen, or a very high pressed forward Pogba. And now you've got to bring another player back as well. And this is when you start that tactical game of chess with everything.
I think
that's
really why Leicester are like a smaller example. If you look at Leicester, you've got Ndidi, who just sits in, but then you've got Maddison and Tielemans. As soon as Ndidi picks it up, they know that he's not the greatest passer, but he will find them on the inside. So they just push beyond the midfield, and they know they can trust him. And I think that's what we don't have right now. I think Partey would be so ideal for that right now, man.
We got any more? Madrid owners are passionate about football, where United owners are money driven. Completely different worlds apart. Real Madrid are showing what a big club's supposed to do. They've had a terrible season by coming third. Still in the Champions League. He's on the back of 3 Champions League wins. They lose Ronaldo. There's always going to be some sort of bounce back. Zidane might be the smartest man in the world by walking away when he knew Ronaldo was going at the same time, only to get called back, was it 6 months later? Something along those lines? Yeah. And the promise of like $500 million being spent. Because they've spent, what, 300 million already on 5 players? And they've not got that Eriksen. They've not got Mbappe. They've not got a Pogba. That could easily push it into the 500-600 million kind of... You could spend 300 million on Pogba and Mbappe without a shadow of a doubt.
Easily. Well over that.
I mean, I guess financial fair play only applies to some clubs. It clearly doesn't apply to Real Madrid in that sense, does it? Because how are they funding that in the slightest?
Yeah, no way.
Did they get 100 million for Ronaldo, didn't they, last season?
They did get 100 million for Ronaldo. Yeah.
But, like, that's drop in the ocean compared to what they're about to absolutely launch out the place. Let's see what else we got. We've got, is Fernandes really coming to United? The report seemed to say that United's in it. There was a question earlier from somebody actually as well, like, is the De Ligt stuff real or are we being used? I think it's real. Our interest is real. Does that mean we're going to get him? No, there's loads of factors that I'm not aware of, that, players' personal preference and everything like that. But I think when you see the stuff that's come out along the lines of United have offered this much in terms of wages, that's not the sort of speculation. Stuff like, United are scouting him, United are interested. I think that's legit. Now, whether or not he's already not... The only report that I think is worth us believing is that he rejected a contract offer from United, with everyone presuming more money might make it happen. But I think we've actually offered. So we've offered whatever Ajax wanted, and we've put an offer into the player. So I'd say our interest is real. Now, that doesn't mean, just because A and B is correct, doesn't mean C means he comes to United. I think there's more to it than that.
I think if you look at the De Ligt situation, I think what's happened is Mino and his guys know exactly what they're doing. I think they've gone to more than one club.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
And actually said, we're going to you. And there was reports of that, I think. And I think that's exactly what's happened. And, Raiola plays the game better than anyone else. You know you're going to get more money like that. If you go to Barcelona and you say, we'll come to you, then you tell United, Barca are having him, they're accepting him. You're pushing United, take that 300k a week, which will be mental for a 19-year-old.
It is mental because with that money where does it come after that? I don't know where it goes up to from that.
That's crazy,
one thing I can tell you all is that the interest from Barcelona in Marcus is real. It's real interest.
It's been real since last year.
Yeah, it's been real for over a year. Does that mean he's going to go? I don't think so.
I don't think he goes.
My gut feeling is that he won't. But if I was him, I would. The way our fans talk about him, because he'd go to Barcelona, he'd score 30 goals.
Yeah.
Like, if you look just at how he's doing with a better team around him with England, people know who scored a penalty tonight. Yeah, he did, right? But Kane's played 100 more minutes than him in the Nations League for England, same group of players. Kane's had 12 shots. He scored 1 goal. Marcus has had 9 shots. He scored 3 goals.
2 of them coming against Spain.
It's clinical.
The other coming against Holland. He had some brilliant games all around in the Nations.
He scores big games.
If you look at when Sancho picks the ball up, some of the runs he was making, and Sancho was finding him. I think England's midfield affected Marcus. A lot of people are like, what did he do for 30 minutes before he got injured? The midfield was horrendous. They weren't winning the ball back or doing anything.
Andre Essien there says, I don't think a narrow formation can work in the modern game, so a diamond will be quite shit in my opinion. Based on what, mate?
Spurs played half the season using a narrow formation.
We played the diamond just before it all fell apart for Ollie.
Yeah.
Very successfully.
I think it's how you adjust and rotate between other systems. I think Poch has done that well this season.
Yeah, it's not about just going, that's our formation, blah, 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 blah. And I see, this is the reason why I would go if I was Marcus. Like people saying, sell Rashford. Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
You should have seen the lot celebrating the other day. Like,
why the fuck would Barca want a wasteful player like Marcus? I don't know, because they do. Maybe because he's one of the best under-21 players in world football.
One of the best players off the ball. Do you think Messi wouldn't want to be finding balls into him?
The movement that he has for him, Jesus Christ.
Someone that can actually find it.
He'd score 30. Rashford clinical. I didn't say he was clinical. I said he's been clinical for England. 3 goals in 9 shots. It's clinical, mate. That's clinical. Harry Kane's got 1 in 12. People will tell you Harry Kane is clinical. I'm not telling you Marcus is clinical. Over the whole of last season, Marcus pulled out 8.4 shots per goal, which is quite wasteful, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same 8.4 as what Cristiano Ronaldo has. 8.4 shots per goal. You got to look at where him and Marcus both take them from. They take a lot from far out. Yeah. Whereas someone like Lukaku has 95% of his shots inside the box.
I think it's a learning curve as well for Marcus this season. He has been wasteful on the edge of the box, which should be doing better.
He's taking a lot of shots from 30 yards out, which are so not going to fly in.
Yeah,
they're not. The one in 50 flies in, and it looks amazing, which is why they're sticking people's heads. But you ain't scoring them often.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's just a learning curve. This season, I think next season he'll try to be as effective as possible in the box, and he's only 21. Like, it's mental what he's already done at 21 and how much he wants to do well.
Yeah. I hope these guys are in shape for the pace Ollie wants to play. I see a lot of people saying, but it's a joke that players aren't fit enough to play a system. Joe, I kind of agree. But there's some efficiencies that a player will learn playing a different system for a long time. They'll know the right time to press and the right time to take the foot off the gas or rotate into a different position while somebody else presses. Do you not remember the City team in the first season of Pep when he stepped it up for him? They couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And they came third. Liverpool, didn't Klopp take them from 8th to 8th, I think, in his first season?
What's crazy
because he couldn't get it to work properly.
City at the start of that season with Pep were just hammering teams. And you're like, oh my God, this is like Pep at his best. And then they sort of just fell apart throughout the season, if you remember. And I think it's sort of similar to what happened with us. But when you've not got the players as well, the quality, it doesn't get you out of that. City were about to fall out the top 4.
They got in it on goal difference, man.
No, goal difference over us, and if we didn't cock it up at West Ham. But it's mental how a system change can affect certain players that can't handle it. Klopp come at Liverpool, and that's why he's going with Henderson in midfield. But that's because he knows these players can do their job. You've got to give your managers the players that know that they'll fit a system. It's not about the biggest names.
That's why I'm not kicking off about the James signing. Is the James signing going to be someone that takes United above Liverpool and City? No, absolutely not. But is James a building block to get the system in place? Because the system can sometimes overcome the players that you've got. 100%. And that's why Fergie did things when he had Cleverley in the team and a midfield of Cleverley and Anderson, and you could bring shit players in like Jordi Cruyff and Blomqvist and still pull titles out because the system was king. And that's why Liverpool can bring in anybody into that system that works for them at the moment, and City can bring in anybody and it works for them at the moment. We've got no system. We've got a collection of individuals, and a lot of them are playing for themselves.
100%. Yeah, you can see that, man. All the stats scream that. The bottom 3 for everything, like sprinting and all of that. It's mental. I can accept being beat. I don't like it, but I can accept it. I can accept conceding goals and losing games. I can accept it. You're not going to win everything, and you're not going to win every game. But I never could accept being outworked. Yeah, no chance, especially when you're United.
I saw someone earlier saying, who'd you partner up with Marshall? I'm not sure Marshall can play in a 2. I think he's extremely effective coming in off that left-hand side.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's got the off-the-ball movement to play as a number 9 regular. On the ball, he might be one of the best, if not he might be the best dribbler in the league. Yeah. His close control is ridiculous.
Now Hazard's gone.
Yeah, now Hazard's gone. But his overall game as a striker lacks a little bit of something. Lacks an X factor.
I think it's age. I mean, like, was he 23? It's a system being in place as well. He's got to be forced to do certain things in that system. Surely you pick things up at that age. I'm pretty sure, like Ronaldo's and the reason I'm mentioning the bigger players because we've seen them improve even at those ages. Yeah. We've seen Ronaldo take his goal scoring up a level when he went to Madrid.
Ruud van Nistelrooy was playing centre mid at 21.
Bloody heck!
What does that tell you? You can become clinical.
Yeah.
Marcus is taking a lot of shots and free kicks from ridiculous places. Just on a pure mathematics of where Mata takes free kicks from, he is 4 times more likely to score before he's even run up to the ball, right?
Yeah.
You're 4 times more likely to score when they're here on the edge of the box than here 35 yard out.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. That's the mathematical fact is you're 3 to 4 times more likely to score from there than there. Yeah. People are absolutely fucking obliterating Marcus for taking them from there. And I don't think he should take them from there. If I was him, I would say, I don't want to take them from there. They're a 3% chance of going in. These here, you're talking more like 18% chance of going in.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's mad that he was taking some of them that far out, to be honest.
Marshall is better than Rashford as a number 9. He's more clinical. He is more clinical by a long way. Marshall's goals to game, I think he had 39 shots last year, 10 goals, 3.9 shots per game, which is twice as good as Marcus. And yeah, he's making better decisions where he shoots from. But I think there's more to a game. If you want to play a pressing system, you're not picking Tony Marshall.
No.
If you want a system with a load of interchanging in the final third, you're not picking Tony Marshall. There's more to just putting the ball in the net.
I think you can still pick Martial if the system works around him. And that, unfortunately, I think you look at the best clubs, you look at City, they don't even do things like that. You look at Mahrez, he comes in, he has to run, he has to press. I think if Daniel James is in, for example, and you got Rashford, and those are pressing all game, Rashford's doing all the off the ball, Daniel James pressing, for example, hopefully someone better quality than Daniel James steps in, allows Martial to be that guy, to be in front of goal, to have the loose ball, then it could work. But you can't just base your team all around that, just for one player.
Rashford is just a pace merchant. Okay, mate. What's happening with Griezmann and Wan-Bissaka? No idea. I do hope that Wan-Bissaka comes in because I think he's absolutely fantastic.
Would you still take Griezmann?
It depends on the system. Where does he fit? If we're going to play 4-4-2, whether that's diamond or flat, then he played that very well for Atletico for years. So he can definitely do that role. But I think you have to have more of a target man. Like, you couldn't play him and any of our strikers in that system effectively. I think if you asked me in the last 2 years, would you take Griezmann? I would have said no. But I think if we play him in the tip of that diamond, the off-the-ball movement, the press, we've seen him track back. I think we'd play him as a striker.
I think we wouldn't, but I think he should. If we bring in him, that should be his role.
Well, he's quality. He's unbelievable quality. Right, thank you guys for coming and joining us. Make sure to like the video if you've not already. Make sure to subscribe if you've not already. I think we've got Anthony Crowler Monday, Danny Ingham next week, and before you know it, we're going to be in pre-season. It's going to be absolutely mega. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to come follow Abdul over on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.